It's Thursday, Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Got to start something here. Welcome in Illinois in Focus with the Center Square here on YouTube, where you can wake up each weekday morning and get a breakdown of things that are happening in the state of Illinois. As a State House reporter, associate editor for the Center Square, I've got to tell you to get over to thecentersquare.com, where you can find headlines from across the country. But also, if you go to the state page, you can click on Illinois and find the latest Illinois headlines as well. And don't forget, you can also sign up for the newsletter to get those headlines in your inbox each and every weekday morning. A lot of stuff happening. Of course, with the House in session today, it's expected to be a shorter day, as I believe they have Friday off. But then next week, both chambers come back, the Illinois House and the Illinois Senate, and we'll see just how much gas they put on to get us all the way to the end of May for the end of session. So we'll be on the ground, of course, reporting all of that out to you. But yesterday, a lot of activity, several committees that we'll kind of just get some highlights from, including conversations about mental health and gun violence. But also, a measure did advance out of committee. That was a Senate bill dealing with human trafficking awareness. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But we also have the ongoing conversation about the estate tax on family farms. You've got Republicans who are saying, listen, we need to rearrange our priorities in the state of Illinois, and instead of spending $1 billion plus on non-citizens in the state for health care and a host of other things, they need to be able to give family farmers relief when they have to pay an estate tax. So we'll tackle that as well. But obviously, big news yesterday, and it's going to continue to dominate for a while here as people start jockeying position for what's going to be an open U.S. Senate seat. Illinois U.S. Senator Dick Durbin announcing yesterday that he is not running. We'll tackle that next here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Behind the scenes for you guys. I did do a hardwire into my streaming device. I'm hoping that's the trick. And if it is, give me thumbs up in the live chat. Let me know if it's not coming through great, but either way, just a reminder, you can always get the podcast uninterrupted, all right? So let's cross your fingers, and here we go. Illinoisans will pick a new U.S. Senator in 2026 after Illinois U.S. Senator Dick Durbin, the minority whip, second in command of the Democrats in the U.S. Senate, longtime senator and longtime congressman from Illinois, announcing he is not going to seek re-election. And that means that seat is going to be wide open. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Go to thecentersquare.com and the Illinois page, and you'll see here Illinois officials react to news that Durbin will not seek re-election. Kevin Bessler putting this together for the Center Square yesterday. 80-year-old Durbin. He's from East St. Louis, lives in Springfield, though, when he's not in Washington, D.C. First elected to the U.S. House in 1982, a year before I was born, and and served 7 terms there. He then was elected into the U.S. Senate, replacing Paul Simon in 1996, and has been there since. So clearly, a longtime congressman, somebody who's been integral to Democrat politics in Illinois. And he chaired the Judiciary Committee when the Democrats were in power in the Senate. He's the minority spokesperson now in that committee. Pretty influential committee. So here's some of what he had to say yesterday in a video, highly produced video released on his social media campaigns.
The decision of whether to run for re-election has not been easy. I truly love the job of being United States Senator, but in my heart, I know it's time to pass the torch. So I'm announcing today that I will not be seeking re-election at the end of my term. The people of Illinois have honored me with this responsibility longer than anyone elected to the Senate in our state's history. I'm truly grateful. Right now, the challenges facing our country are historic and unprecedented. The threats to our democracy and way of life are very real. And I can assure you, I'll do everything in my power to fight for Illinois and the future of our country every day of my remaining time in the Senate. I've given over half of my life to House and Senate congressional service. I've always tried to stand up to power on behalf of the people of Illinois and our country. But none of it would have been possible without my wife, Loretta, our kids, Christine, Paul, and Jennifer, and my energetic and amazing grandchildren, as well as my extended family. They stood with me and accepted the demands of my public career. I've been blessed to have them, as well as the best Senate staff anyone could ask for. My Senate colleague, Tammy Duckworth, is a trusted friend and an effective leader. She'll be a real asset to Illinois and the nation as our state's senior senator. We're also fortunate to have a strong Democratic bench ready to serve. We need them now more than ever. To the Illinoisans who gave this kid from East St. Louis a chance to serve, thank you for supporting me through the words and actions over the years. Now that I have this announcement behind me, I need to get back to work.
So there's Durbin yesterday, again, a highly produced video with his message to Illinois voters that he's not seeking another term. That means it's an open seat, and Republicans, I'm sure, are going to line up to get the right candidate in there. Democrats lining their individuals up to get in there. One already tossing their hat in the ring. We'll get to that in a moment. And no, it was not Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. He was asked about this yesterday at a event over in Decatur, where he just says, hey, I'm going to reiterate the statement that he put out.
Yeah, for those of you who've been busy this morning, Senator Durbin announced his retirement at the end of his term. I really would just be reiterating what I said in the statement that I put out. Let's all recognize that someone serving us for decades in Washington, D.C., representing the state of Illinois with enormous integrity and honor, is something that we should all appreciate, no matter what political party anybody belongs to. And especially in this moment in Washington, where I feel like there aren't enough people who represent the courage and the genuine honesty that Dick Durbin has represented for us for all these years. But in this moment, to have somebody representing us means a great deal. And I just wanted to, I guess I'm reiterating something that I said in my statement, but I think it's so important for all of us to recognize. And there'll be time, for the next, 19 months or however many more months there are until the end of his term for us to honor him in even grander fashion. But I think it's an important day to recognize great public servants.
And he says, of course, over the next 19 months, we're going to see a lot of names pop up. He was asked in Decatur whether he plans to run for Senate, and he didn't really say, he would, and then asked if he would endorse somebody. He said that he wouldn't. So interesting to see who the first person, at least splashing on the news headlines as to who announced that they're running. Let's hear what Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton had to say. The governor's second in command here. She put out a video just a couple of hours ago on her Team Stratton YouTube page.
Since Donald Trump took power, it's been nonstop news, nonstop chaos, and nonstop crisis. And that's not by accident. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to distract us, to create such a mess that we don't even know where to start. But in Washington, they're still doing the same old things they've always done. And that old playbook isn't working. I'm Juliana Stratton, the daughter of a teacher and a Navy veteran from the South Side of Chicago, and the proud mom of 4. My story isn't the story of a typical senator. Then again, typical isn't what we need right now. My journey to public service was inspired by serving as the primary caregiver for my mom when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Bruce Rauner was trying to cut health care for seniors like her, so I decided to run for state representative, and I won. When I got to Springfield, I brought the voices of working families with me, and when J.B. Pritzker asked me to be his lieutenant governor, we got to work to improve the lives of people across Illinois. We raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, created thousands of jobs with the largest infrastructure investment in state history, passed some of the strongest gun safety laws in the country, and enshrined abortion rights into law, making Illinois a safe haven and protecting the rights of women. And while Trump and Republicans in D.C. have proposed cutting nearly $1 trillion in health care, in Illinois, we've wiped away medical debt. While their reckless tariffs make prices skyrocket, we've eliminated the grocery tax for families across Illinois. They like to talk. We've actually gotten things done. Now I'm running for Senate because the only way out of this mess is to bring new energy, new voices, and new leaders who understand the lives of working people.
All right,
Join
so
our campaign.
You get it there. All right, she's announcing she's running for U.S. Senate, and that makes it interesting for if Governor J.B. Pritzker announces a run for a third term in 2026. So, I mean, the political timelines here are actually kind of fascinating, right? Here we are in 2025. You've got the 2026 election coming up. We're going to start seeing people running for primaries with an open U.S. Senate seat and a governor election as well. Will Pritzker announce he's running for a third term in 2026? And what does that mean if his lieutenant governor is looking to be the next U.S. senator? So is Pritzker going to have to bring on a new lieutenant governor candidate to run with him in 2026? And all the speculation about is Pritzker lining himself up to run for president in 2028. So those are the Democrats, right? Of course, Durbin being a Democrat, and just because he's a Democrat doesn't mean you can't get a Republican to be a U.S. senator. Some are speculating that a statement put out by Darren LaHood's campaign office seems to indicate maybe some intentions to run. Let's see what his campaign office put out here. It says that Senator Durbin's retirement was long overdue. For decades, Illinoisans have known him as the face of Washington dysfunction. Goes on to say, Durbin pushing liberal policies that have made life more expensive, our border less secure, and our streets less safe. Goes on to say, while we wish him well in retirement, LaHood's office, and LaHood being a Republican U.S. congressman from Peoria, Illinoisans are ready to turn the page. Voters are tired of out-of-touch liberal policies that have failed working families and prioritize illegal immigrants and far-left ideological agendas over hardworking American taxpayers. Congressman LaHood has earned strong support from voters across the 34 counties he represented in Congress, winning each election by overwhelming margins. He's championed impactful economic growth policies, been a leader in strengthening our national security against growing threats like China and Iran. His leadership has consistently driven strong financial backing, resulting in nearly $6 million in cash on hand at the end of last quarter. As the 2026 election approaches, Congressman LaHood remains focused on delivering conservative leadership for all Illinoisans that offers a clear alternative to the failed liberal policies driving families and businesses out of Illinois. So that is, again, a statement from Congressman Darren LaHood and his campaign office. And is an indication that he's going to be running for U.S. Senate now that that Senate seat is open. Clearly, a lot more to be said about all of this, and we'll be watching it here for Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with the Center Square on YouTube.
We are spending a lot of money on undocumented immigrants in the state right now. So do they think that's more important than preserving our farm legacy, which is our #1 industry in the state.
That's State Representative Wayne Rosenthal yesterday during a news conference with fellow Republicans pushing for measures to, quote, save family farms, and one of those being the estate tax. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Get the headlines in your inbox with the newsletter. Go to thecentersquare.com and sign up for that, and it's free. We're a free news wire service. And definitely would appreciate your donations there, so you can find out more by going to thecentersquare.com. So earlier this month, the issue of the estate tax popped up during Ag Day at the Illinois State Fair. You had State Senator Andrew Chesney get up saying he's fighting for either eliminating or reducing the estate tax burden on people. There's a measure at the State House that would increase the threshold where the estate tax kicks in from $4 million to $6 million, giving a bit of a breather room there, because a lot of family farms, yeah, they're rich in property, but they don't have a lot of cash on hand. And when the father, say, who owns the farm passes away, and then sends the family the farm, gives them the farm, that family ends up having to pay exorbitant taxes. So they might have to sell off part of the property to be able to pay those taxes from the estate. So, a lot of family farmers looking to get changes there. But Governor J.B. Pritzker, after Chesney made those comments in front of farm leaders during Illinois Ag Day, he was asked about where are we at on the possibility of changing the estate tax.
Happy to talk about it. He just has to tell us how we're going to pay for it. It's a few $100 million of revenue to the state. So, if he's able to come with his ideas about how to pay for it, then we ought to talk about it.
So maybe cuts, if they say, hey, we'll have a couple $100 million of cuts here, let's do it. Yesterday at that news conference, I asked Wayne Rosenthal about, the governor says bring some cuts to the table if you want some changes to the state's estate tax.
Do we want to maintain and preserve the family farms, or do we just want to let them go by the wayside? And so that's the critical thing there. So that would be up to him to make that decision whether he wants to maintain the farms or not.
But again, what kinds of cuts are we talking about here? Republicans have been critical of the governor's proposed budget. It's the largest state budget in state history, almost $55 billion in spending and revenues coming in. And it's just 10 years ago or so, the budget was like $35 billion of state money. But here we are in 2025, getting ready to see the largest state spending plan in state history. Surely there's some areas to cut there. Unrelated to the conversation about the estate tax, the Illinois Department of Revenue Director, David Harris, he was in front of a Senate committee talking about the budget for that department. And somebody asked him about, hey, we just got done with April 15th. How are we looking on tax receipts and money coming in from Illinois taxpayers? He says, hey, we've had a pretty good week.
Last week, we deposited more money than we have ever deposited in the history of the Department of Revenue. In one day, we had $1.6 billion in one day. As my staff likes to say, or the person who handles this, that's a lot of scratch.
So a lot of money coming into the state, right? Again, we're looking at spending, like $3 billion more than we spent in the current fiscal year. Looking back on what we're spending on, you've got the non-citizen migrant health care. That's costing hundreds of millions of dollars, if not $1 billion plus, and all the other costs associated with that. When I asked Rosenthal for what kinds of priorities he would like to see the governor and Democrats who control the General Assembly to change in order to make way for some relief for family farms, that's what he went to. He said, yeah, it's the non-citizen spending that's a big drain on taxpayer resources that could be cut to make way for savings so that they can save family farms.
We are spending a lot of money on undocumented immigrants in the state right now. So do they think that's more important than preserving our farm legacy, which is our #1 industry in the state?
And the question that Republicans posing is, do you want to prop up non-citizens with taxpayer dollars, or do you want to help family farms in Illinois stay in the family? We'll see if they come together with anything before the end of legislative session. But as we watch and the anticipated costs of getting rid of the state tax, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars potentially at play there. But think about how much that's going to save for family farmers for them to invest more in their farm here in Illinois, right? I know a lot of people talk about, hey, I'm sick of the Illinois politics. I'm leaving the state. Farmers can't just pick up their farmland and move out of Illinois. So it's an interesting predicament. All right. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Get the podcast where you get podcasts. Get news headlines in your inbox with the newsletter from thecentersquare.com. And wake up with us here on YouTube for the Center Square and Illinois in Focus Daily.
I look forward to finding ways we can reduce violence in our society while at the same time respecting the constitutional rights of Americans.
State Representative Patrick Windhorst yesterday during an Illinois House Gun Violence Prevention Committee where they held a subject matter hearing on a variety of measures where they said is an intersection between gun violence and mental health. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be with me each and every weekday morning here. So we're going to talk about a couple of different committees that met yesterday. One advancing a measure about human trafficking awareness, and the other just holding a subject matter. So the Illinois House Gun Violence Prevention Committee. It's a new committee this year, chaired by State Representative Maura Hirschauer, and they've already advanced a couple of bills out of committee, including a Republican measure about requiring school officials, if they hear of any kind of threat involving a firearm against anybody, a student or the school, they have to report it as soon as possible. Interesting, they had to try to codify that. But that was one Republican measure that advanced out of the Gun Violence Prevention Committee. But they had some Democrat measures advance as well, including better reporting for stolen firearms and databases and whatnot. But some other things that are kind of lingering in this committee. You've got several House bills still, but you also got Senate Bill 8, and that is the measure that would require gun owners to lock up their firearms in a house or their place of business if certain individuals that aren't allowed to have firearms are in the premise. So that passed the Senate earlier this month. It's now in the House. They did not bring that up yesterday and advance it out of a House committee. So we'll be watching for when that ultimately does move through. I expect it to move through probably second or third week of May, depending on how tight they want to make their schedule and if they're going to go all the way to May 31st or not. So that the committee, though, they did tackle several measures dealing with, say, for instance, the issue of restraining orders. And they wanted to clean up some language to make it more clear with recent measures they've already approved for law. But one thing they also talked about was this measure, House Bill 3157. And House Bill 3157 deals with mental health and firearm owner ID cards. So we'll review this here in a moment, but let's hear from Maura Hirschauer opening yesterday's session with a message about what the ultimate goal is when it comes to looking at mental health and gun violence.
We are not evaluating or judging, but instead we are looking at access to guns in our system and the policies that we currently have in place that aim to protect people in crisis from harming themselves or others.
So Hirschauer saying the point of the committee is to do just that, look at these various issues that they say are driving factors for violence and how mental health could be part of that, but we don't want to stigmatize mental health. Representative Patrick Windhorst saying that they're willing to, again, a Republican in the minority, they're willing to work alongside Democrats on this issue, but they have to be cognizant of where the lines are drawn.
I look forward to finding ways we can reduce violence in our society while at the same time respecting the constitutional rights of Americans.
State Representative Lindsay LaPointe from Chicago, Democrat. She is very focused on mental health issues, and she says that this issue between gun violence and mental health is paramount.
I think we do too much in Springfield in haste and under duress, and on a topic like this that people feel so strongly about in every corner of Illinois, and on a topic like this that has literally life and death consequences in every corner of Illinois.
Obviously, people very passionate about this issue, just as gun owners are. The Illinois State Rifle Association's Ed Sullivan was there as part of the subject matter hearing to lend his support for working on this issue, because he says, especially with this bill that we're going to talk about here in a moment, you've got people that are getting caught up in various particular laws, not on their own accord. So we'll talk about what House Bill 3157 does. Just read through this synopsis here. It says, provides that in cases in which a person who has had his or her firearm owner ID card revoked or denied because he or she was a patient in a mental health facility and who's received a mental health evaluation by a physician, clinical psychologist, or qualified examiner, as those terms are defined in the Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities Code, and has received a certification that he or she is not a clear and present danger to himself, herself, or others, to receive a restoration of his or her right to obtain a firearm owner's identification card, shall provide all collateral records to the physician, clinical psychologist, or qualified examiner making the certification, and the person shall attest by signature that all collateral records have been provided to the evaluator, and it goes on from there. So, I mean, ultimately, yes, what you've got here is a measure that would say, hey, if a gun owner has been put into a facility and evaluated, but later they find that there's nothing really going on there, they can have their FOID card restored. Ed Sullivan says, this is happening to, say, a Chicago cop who went to the hospital and there weren't enough beds, so they put him in the psych ward, and he was coded being in the psych ward, and that impacted his ability to have firearms. I've had other listeners and watchers who have emailed with similar instances happening to them with their firearm owner ID card. And I know that there's probably people, even in the live chat, saying that the FOID card is unconstitutional. Yes, some lower state courts have ruled that. Some lawsuits continue to go through. It's in federal court as well. But it's the law of the land as it is. So how this plays out with the idea of having the FOID card be something that's supposed to keep certain individuals from getting firearms, the courts are still dealing with that, but it is the law of the land. But Ed Sullivan from the Illinois State Rifle Association says we have to fix this issue of somebody being improperly tagged as having mental health issues to be able to get their Second Amendment rights restored through the FOID card process in the state of Illinois. Here's Sullivan. Van go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Safer, so people that truly are dangerous are not going to have firearms, because obviously we don't want suicides. We don't want the problems.
What's going to happen with this particular bill? Obviously, it's still in the House, so maybe they'll get a Senate bill that's passed over, part of the shell bill process, and they'll gut and replace and get you something before too long. So that's just one issue that happened in the Illinois House Gun Violence Prevention Committee. In a separate House committee, they actually did pass something dealing with public safety and human trafficking in particular. Here is Democratic State Representative Ann Williams from Chicago talking about the measure that has bipartisan support to address human trafficking.
Credit really needs to go to this very impressive list of stakeholders, and it's an incredible example of how you can work together to accomplish a very, very important goal. And I'm just, again, I'm just at the back end of the process, and credit really goes to the people who have been working tirelessly on this. And I have to also point out that state police has really prioritized that in terms of their legislative agenda.
So Williams talking about this measure that's going to bring about better transparency, better understanding, more training for officials to identify human trafficking. They even had Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly there to talk about the state police's role in all of this and just how real human trafficking is across the state.
Juveniles maybe have been charged with a status offense of some type or a misdemeanor, and the reality is, rather than the perpetrator in that case, they are actually the victim. They've been used by someone who is controlling them from behind the scenes to traffic them.
And obviously, it's a growing concern that everybody from your neighbor to local police and state police need better awareness about just how real human trafficking is.
The reality is, no matter which way you measure it or which metric you're looking at, there's more human trafficking going on than we are identifying.
And the measure that passed out of committee, out of the House, and has already passed the Senate, that is indeed something that's going to possibly require more training for various officials to be more aware of human trafficking, to be able to identify human trafficking. We'll see how that measure advances through the State House. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning. Get those headlines in your inbox and get the podcast where you get podcasts, all right? It's Illinois in Focus Daily. All right, checking the live chat here. How did we do? How'd the live stream do? I think this works. Should have done this a long time ago. I just had to drag a 50-foot Ethernet cable across the house. I've got gaffer's tape down on some areas so I don't trip over it. But yeah, I think we may have figured it out. Should have done this a long time ago. I appreciate your guys' patience. And somebody joked and said you need to fire your producer. That's me, guys. I mean, I set all this up, plugged everything in, everything. So, okay, thumbs up all around. Great. No glitches today. Quadruple thumbs up with a double thumbs up. Perfect. Thanks. Really good. No more interruptions. It's awesome here. Crystal clear. You fixed it, Greg. Thanks, John. Wired is the way. It is. Why didn't I do this 3 months ago? Well, really improved the show. Good to hear, Amy. Appreciate that. Hardwire, baby. All right, Patriot says, is Todd pointing something out? I'll have to take a look at that. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Another day at the State House, maybe an earlier day, but you've got more committees. Then you've got the House coming in. Likely they'll probably wrap things up and get out of town for the week. And then U.S. Senator Dick Durbin's actually going to be in Springfield at his house holding a news conference about his decision to step down. So we'll clearly have a lot more to say about all of that. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Have yourselves a great rest of the day. Happy Thursday. I'm Greg Bishop, signing off.